Got to run the few times.
Okay, you can get started.
Go it down. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. We stand and say the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I could hug you right now.
Good to see you, Travis.
Well, hi, guys. Excellent. What are we doing next?
Roll call, and I think everyone's present.
Roll call and all accounted for. Public comment. We got public comment tonight?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to interject a minute. Our superintendent would like to make a special recognition.
So we've had some couple long-term JCSD educational members that passed away this last week. So Travis, as the chairman of the board, please take a moment of silence. I know the one that I was closest to was Juan Bell, but we also had an elementary or teacher of many years who passed away. So this, as a board and as a community, take a moment of silence. That would be great.
And that was just, that was Terry Uri, or
No,
Terry Woodyer, I'm sorry, good day, Terry Woodyer.
Long-time teacher here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next up, you said no public comment coming in? VHS gallery presentation.
All right, so we have some members of VHS. If you'd like to come forward and do your little presentation, that would be awesome. Shouldn't say little, I should say amazing presentation. So you can step up. Major, let's use the word major.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So these are members of our editing team at the gallery, and if you guys just want to introduce yourself and maybe tell the board a little bit about what goes into this process of putting a magazine together, I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm Sunny.
I'm Claire, I'm a junior.
I'm Kylie. I'm a junior.
And I'm Kevin, I'm a senior.
And then I'm also a senior. So we have been spending the past few months working on this. It's part of our club create and also part of our club Pelican. We mostly spend after school or even before school, if we have time during school to go down. We'll work on gathering the arts and poetry even, or even just writing from students in general and just bringing it all together.
Yeah, so we get recommendations essentially from the art teacher at the high school as well as all of the English teachers. They submit stuff that they think is gallery worthy, I guess, some of the best stuff that they see that year, and then we work to compile it all into this magazine.
And we try our best to represent every art piece and every writing piece the best possible. So like on the ones that are matched, like a poem from someone or like a piece of writing and an art piece, they kind of match together to kind of represent both and show kind of what they're trying to get across.
So it's just kind of trying to get everything together, and then also on the back is a list of the artists and authors.
We also included in this year's, at the end, we included a tribute to Mrs. Sonner with some artwork and poetry that students had written in memory.
Well, this is so professional, Mr. Chair.
Oh,
It's amazing, you guys.
Thank you. We always look forward to it. Very well done.
Thank you, guys.
to come up? So on behalf of the school district, I'm going to ask Gib to come up. It's his staff member. I want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Miller who put this all together. But we're about ready to recognize somebody tonight that's touched the heart of a lot of people, adults and kids throughout this community with the recognition of the Teacher of the Year. So without getting emotional and just keeping it to what we're here for is because somebody who touched the lives of people. I think we have some people here that are going to represent the family to do that. So I will get this and we will recognize the Teacher of the Year. Oh, I have it here. So it's behind me. So Gib, I will let you do the honors of recognizing this.
Gail Cole, are you? So, Teacher of the Year, taking this honor. Yeah, please. You can do whatever. And as our superintendent said, Tiffany touched lives of so many. So, just want to present you with this. This is not attached. So, thanks to you and your family.
I'm going to be personal now and say on behalf of the district and administration, please know that the family is
Thank you for your years of dedication to the district.
So with that, we have the Whitney Foundation and Foresight Law, and Mr. Evans, if you would please come forward. So, Mr. Chair, on behalf of myself as a superintendent, I've been really excited to talk about some of the things we're doing with the pre-K 16 with the pathways to the workforce. And this group of people in front of you is going to kind of do an introduction of what that looks like. So we have representation from the Whitney Foundation and Foresight Law, but in addition, Mr. Evans has been helping with that and gave this crew a tour of our fine district today. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
So we got to tour Casey School as well as Buffalo High School with the CT programs that are in place there. And I got to talk to a lot of the teachers in each of those departments about what we currently offer at BHS and KC and how that's impacting our students, not just during their time, K-12, and obviously 9-12, but where it leads to them in the future. So I'll turn it over to Aaron and Matt to talk a little bit more about the direction with Whitney.
I'm Erin Kilbright. I'm the Executive Director of Whitney Benefits, based in Sheridan. And obviously, as you guys know, we're an educational foundation. So we have a pretty big vested interest in education. And the landscape of education is changing and has changed, as you all know. And so we really just have embarked on this project with the help of Foresight Law and Policy. Foresight Law and Policy is an educational firm based out of Washington, D.C., but the founder resides in Sheridan, Amy Starzinski. And so Matt Bloomstead here is a principal with Foresight. He's actually based in Nebraska, so not too far away, and similar educational landscapes within the state of Nebraska, but they've done a lot of work around the United States that is similar to our project. So we've brought them on as consultants to help us ultimately bring together education, so K-12 education, community college, which is shared college, other philanthropy. We have other foundations involved. And then there's going to be a piece of it, I think, with government, but Foresight really has the knowledge of educational policy. And so we want to bring these groups together as partners really to do the best we can for our students, right? For our students and ultimately our community as we as our state looks to diversify, the economy and more industry has moved in, especially into Sheridan County, but also Johnson County, obviously in the future. So to help these students find a pathway, whatever pathway it is, we are right now focusing on healthcare and manufacturing, but I imagine as we get into our project, kind of what we're gonna have pathways, and your school district's already doing some of this work, Sheridan County is obviously doing some of this work, but we hope to really take a deeper dive in. And so we've just asked the school districts to commit to this next year, with meetings to really, dive deep into this partnership to get to hopefully the formation of some really good pathways, educational and career pathways for our communities. I'm going to turn it over to Matt here for a minute. He can talk a little bit about the project as well.
Yeah, really good to be with you. It was really fun, Jacob. So thanks for the opportunity for the opportunity to kind of see what you're doing. You have some great things that are just taking place, and it's nice sometimes being the one coming from the outside a little bit. Go, oh man, this is lovely. What a lovely community. A lovely set of schools. I stopped in Casey first as I drove in and went there, and I was kind of reminded. I went to a school in Nebraska, K-12, and then I'm not on your kids, right? And so you're doing some things that provide opportunities in that setting that I think are really remarkable for a school that size. And then when we came to Buffalo, very much the same feeling, and that is kind of a more similar feeling to where I currently live in Nebraska, about that same size. And you're doing some great things and have some greatly, I think, engaged teachers. I said it was fun. I think to see engaged teachers and students yet, at this late part of the school year, right? People are still doing stuff, and that was really good to see. I will tell you the chance to work with Whitney. I think it's a unique opportunity between across our region to really think about how we can work together effectively across the region to do that work. It's great to have Sheridan College involved. Thinking about how those pathways can come together. And so tomorrow we'll actually have kind of a second meeting, third meeting, kind of an in-person opportunity to do this work. We kind of did some pre-meetings work this fall, kind of set up this going forward, looking at really those job skills and soft skills, but also looking at really very specific career pathways. And I was super impressed with their teachers. I still have to kind of digest all of the things that they shared with us today, but again, just great things that you have going on, and thank you for your participation.
Yeah, I would second that. Thank you. Great things going on, and it's reassuring, right, to be at the school, seeing what we've kind of heard from Charles this fall about what you guys are doing, to see it, right, put some eyes on it, and just see some of our work that we thought we were going to get done is already being done. So it's exciting to see. So good job, Buffalo and Casey High School, for sure.
So on my behalf, I want to express my excitement. So like I've expressed before, this has been a vision for like almost 8 years before I even got here, that there's a collaborative piece between Sheridan and Johnson County with some type of career pathways. The exciting thing about it for me is that we got invited in Johnson County to come up and work with these guys. And more importantly, if you don't know anything about the Whitney Foundation, once they bite into this, they're committed to doing what's best. And that's what's exciting. So this isn't just a kick the can down the road. I think it's going to be some quality work. They've got a great firm involved, so we look at all the parameters of what we can and can't do and how we can kind of start changing some things. There's some state leadership involved with this, but more importantly, the industries that were at the table the first couple meetings. It's exciting because that's going to create some opportunities for our kids, not here in Johnson County, not just Sheridan County, but it's been very open, great conversation about where we're headed, outside the box thinking, which is super awesome. Even with the Perkins, I know there's some push, of what we're going to do, but we got the right people. Whitney has always been committed to education through the colleges, and I think that's going to open some doors here in Johnson County. So thank you for the invite. I mean, most people don't understand. That's a huge invite. So to get invited into this process, I'm grateful for. So thank you for the time today. You did not have to come tour Johnson County. You could have just gone right through. But when we extended the invite, they were glad to come over and see our schools and see what's going on. And then hard conversations are going to start happening, I'm assuming tomorrow, as I look through that folder of stuff. So anyway,
we did prepare a lot. Right?
It is some good stuff. So anyway, thanks for coming.
So we'll just there will be a series of meetings monthly for the next 12 months. So when we've got the first 4 to 6 planned already and setting us up for some good work. So, and yes, appreciate your time to be in front of you guys tonight to tell you what's going on.
Thanks.
Well, thanks, you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sir.
All right, next up, additions and acceptance of the agenda. Anybody have additions they need to make? I'd entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second to accept the agenda as presented. Any discussion from the board? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right. Next up, report times. We're gonna start with the district levels and help these ladies get on their way to the next mission. So district level reports. Does anybody have questions?
So we'll start out with, any questions for Dr. Miller? All right, Val and Connie are gonna get on the road and go over and represent us with the new grant software that they'll be trained on. So they're leaving here. So again, as a board, I appreciate you allowing them to go first. We'll answer any questions. They're gonna take off after the report. So if you have questions about the budget that we're about ready to approve, and the salaries and stuff, let's ask them, now, and then we'll move forward. So Val, you're up.
I just wanted to apologize that my video did not get uploaded until just a few minutes before the meeting. For some reason, it would record my face, but wouldn't record my sound.
Wouldn't make this up.
I know, right? But I got it right before the meeting, so if you want to look back, it should be up and running.
Any questions for Val?
I was reading through the report. Every student is entitled to a free, appropriate public education. Only get into the 504s and the other when there's something else at need that requires help.
Every student.
Okay, I just
Every
want to make sure I was reading that one right.
Yep, that is correct. Every student.
Anybody else?
All right, Connie, let's give you an overview. You've been looking forward to this all day.
Okay, do you have any questions about my report before I jump into the budget? I hope all of you guys saw the Did You Know about how much we spent on insurance. I thought that was an interesting piece.
That was a good one.
So, this is how you usually see the budget. The functions, instructional support, general support, and transfers. So we're going to change this up a little bit. I still have to report it this way, so you'll continue to see it by functions. And then we've separated general fund from SPED because we are funding 2 different ways now. And so that's what we're looking at for a budget for the 2024-25. So if you can go to let's go to the proposed budget. So what I changed up a little bit. I separated it out. Really it was kind of wrapped around the ECA, which is the external cost adjustment. And so general fund, those are the operations and the personnel that are tied to the ECA. Then I separated activities just so you can kind of see what's going on with activities. And then remember, transportation and SPED are both the reimbursable, so they're not tied to the ECA. One of the things that we had a promote ed meeting, and hopefully in the future we'll have more than those, but we did have a promote ed meeting. We gave them a couple of options, and overwhelmingly they chose option 1, which was an increase to the base. So we also read through some of the other comments, and I met with Charles, and we kind of kept looking through that, and we decided maybe we need to use all of the ECA, not just the ECA toward salaries and benefits. Sorry, not benefits, but salaries, but just use the whole truckload of ECA for salaries and benefits. So we came up with, for the classified staff, we increased, and we started with a 50-cent raise to the base, and we have finalized a 75% increase to the base. We also added 3 years to the length of the schedule. So it was 15 years, now it's 18. For the certified, we increased that
increased the base to $1,500, and we also lengthened their lanes for 3 years. So we were sitting between classified and certified.
Steps or lanes? You added 3 more steps.
Steps.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you. Steps. So we had about, between the classified and the certified, we had about 30 people that were right there at the bottom that were not getting steps and haven't gotten steps for a while. And so we increased that to 3 for each lane. That's where the lane came in, for each lane. And
They only get 1 step,
they
correct?
only get 1 step, and I was gonna bring that up. So they will only get 1 step, but at least they get a step. So their total raise is about $2,200. Well, it's not about, but it is $2,200. Also, one of the things we chose to do with the certified, to give them a $1,500 increase to the base, and the rest of the salary schedules have $1,000 to the base. They don't have a longevity step. They all get $700 no matter what. So we just thought that to be fair and consistent, we gave them a $1,500 increase to the base. And then we had the other salary schedule, which is the professional 200, the professional 185, the management, and the principals. We gave them all a $1,000 increase with and a step. So they have a longevity of a 1.5% step. It's classified as a 2.5% longevity step. So that's what we can do with the money that we have. And so when we put it all together, general fund had a little of about $671,000 left. We have to use that to pay for activities, transportation, and sped, because those are a negative amount that we don't have enough to come. Remember the 15 million, that's not 1.5 million in transportation, and the 4.6 million is an estimate. So that could change by the time we come back in July. But those are what we're estimating that we're going to get back in reimbursements. So if we get more than that, those red numbers will go down, and then we can have we don't have as much carryover. So right now, with what I'm estimating, we'll have to use about $189,000 in cash reserves, where we were at $811,000 last year, and then 1.3 before. So I think we're super excited about this. We need the ECAs to continue. We need the initiative that Charles is presenting to move forward, and hopefully the PR getting some of those kiddos back, and then I think this would be sustainable. One of the things I didn't go over on Wednesday with you is the non-general fund. So definitely these will change. So BOCES will not change. It'll be $250,000. Capital projects and depreciation. Remember those you asked me last year to make those be $500,000 and not any more than that. So we have more cash than $500,000, but we're going to just keep it the budget, and that was your request last year. But special revenue and major maintenance, what I do is I take all the carryover that's left for the grants, and then all the new allocation. So we won't know what that carryover is until June 30th. Yeah. And the same with major maintenance. So whatever cash I have left over, plus the next year's allocation is what that number will be. But we always kind of keep it that way because we don't really know exactly what's going to happen with either one of those categories. Internal services will stay the same unless we don't move money, because we're spending that money with the HSA's incentives that we gave this past year. And then teachers, that stays about the same, and food service will fluctuate a little bit as we see how that ends up. So that's the budget. Any questions? And this is preliminary. This may look different in July.
Questions or comments, guys? Go ahead.
Tony, why, explain to me special revenue, why is it down so much?
ESSER's gone away, and so ESSER is going away, so we won't have that ESSER. And that'll go up a little bit because Perkins needs to go in there, and know what we get for ID and 611. I just don't have those allocations yet. So, but most of that was that ESSER money that we had to spend this year. And that'll go up a little bit. I'll have a little bit of ESSER left because we have till September of 24 to spend. Yeah.
Dave, just the trend also for Title I, Title II, and Title IV, we're already down about $80,000 projected revenue just in the other federal funds. So we are seeing a decrease in federal funds, not just with ESSER. So.
Gonna clap for that.
Well, I mean, just for the balance, Randy, so you know, I think we've done a great job of trying to leverage federal funds to balance our general fund. But when federal funds and grants go down, that means determination of what comes out of our general fund is going to be that balancing act. So when Title I goes down, which is a very supportive piece with what we do with other things or special ed, those are all part of that balancing act that we're trying to do. And so even the things that we're seeing up here, lightning, I don't want to say anything anymore because lightning just struck. But the reality is, you know, we do have to start looking at that balancing act, how we leverage and what we're doing. I think we've done a great job of bringing transportation and special ed in the general fund. I don't want to get too confusing. Bumping that so there's some consistency there with that state reimbursement and then using other federal grants to kind of support some of the things we already have going. So good job, Kyle.
Yeah, I just theoretically, I would rather not take it down.
You know, until you sit in this seat and that seat right there, you don't realize the cables that are tied to the
Tight,
grant
yeah.
when you come in. And it's easy money to spend. It's hard money you have to defend when the audits. And here's the comment that would make. The audits are now beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. For you, you will notice in the report that we have to have an ESSER 3 revision. They're begun. I mean, now we have meetings and all that kind of stuff. So for the next 3 years, you're going to see audits throughout districts and meetings around the communities, around the state of Wyoming and around the nation. So the audits are just begun, but the spending is over. So now we begin looking at what some of that looks like. And the reality for me is the rules from day one have changed for a majority of districts after they spent the money. So us being kind of behind the 8 ball with a little bit of that, I think would be a blessing. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows this was a short presentation. Connie did a really nice job for us at our work session where we went through this line by line for over 5 hours. So this isn't, seems like to everybody that we were, 10 minutes, we're accepting your budget. So we spent a lot of time on it. Connie did a lot of work. One question, and you never know what they'll what happens if ECA doesn't come through? Do we
Think
all?
positive, Jan.
I know, but you know,
Put it realistic.
just being.
Well, so that's one of the things that we really thought about it, we talked about it, we discussed it. So we think that the lawsuit, while the lawsuit is in play, so we probably have 2 years, maybe 3 years so we think that the legislature will not take the ECA away until at least the recalibration time. And so by that time, the initiative that Charles is proposing will be in effect. Also, maybe we've got some of those kids coming back. So it is a gamble. Yes.
So there is, but the risk, and I mean, we can sit here and go through another 4 hours, but I don't want to go through another 4 hours. The details are there. So there's been some what ifs put into the thought of this, what that process looks like, and getting to where we need to. I mean, another celebration is that I just want to go through. A lot of work's been done, not only by us up here in a new software and what we're doing, but by building leadership and everybody around. But if you think about it, $1.3 million now down to about $200,000. There were some good things that happened or some key things that helped with this then. But we also returned $1.9 million and got a loan of another $3.9 million. And that's all been payments. So to be to this point as a district right now, today, where we were 12 months from now, is remarkable with how we kind of tighten some things up and be able to come to the table and make some of these things that we're here, because that's not a task that was, well, there was some stress, no doubt, to make sure payroll happened on a monthly basis without having to go wash dishes in different places. So that is a huge, we're going to have the rest of that loan paid off next month, and we start from scratch, because 12 months from today is when we found out we owed $1.9 million because of legislative law change. We didn't get the 100 until August, official 100, and then it was wrong. And now we know the new 100 has supposedly glitches in it. So as we're working through this, it's been a great team effort. So,
Connie, have you ever seen ECAs come in back to back?
No, this.
Because I haven't seen that either.
Well,
Usually
maybe-
they give one
maybe-
and it'll be 2 or 3 years before they give another, and that's what
first camel case.
What's that?
First camel case was the first major
Yeah,
jump.
it's been a while, so it does have you
It
concerned
comes,
somewhat.
it comes in and out. So yes, with the three things that we have in play, I think we have an excellent chance of sustaining this.
Good work, Connie. Thanks.
And we need to realize this is a preliminary budget.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's gonna change before you submit the final budget.
And
Thanks,
remember,
Dave, for saying that.
we can change the budget at any time after July as well. So.
Yeah. Motion. You touched on this, but if I've understood correctly, the initiative that Charles is going to tell us about shortly is an integral part of this, part of how we're getting the funding we needed to change the salaries as you explained.
As we go, yes.
Is
right.
how we find
Right.
somehow.
So the initiative doesn't have to take place now because we have the ECA.
Yes.
So,
But we have it in
what
place.
is really cool about the ECA is they already kept the first one in. I don't think they're going to take that one back out. So, and usually they put it in and take it out. So they kept that in. So that's another thing that they haven't done before either. And so that's why we feel so hopeful, confident that they'll have at least 3 years.
We are staying positive.
Thing that funded me.
And I just think we still had to move those salaries up. So we're kind of in that dilemma where we really need to put those salaries in a better place. We're not where we want to be, but we still need it because we're still losing ground because everybody else is increasing their base as well. So.
Mr. Chair.
Connie, thanks for all your hard work and doing that, because I know you put a lot of time.
Yeah, software made it a lot more fun.
Please.
Thank you. Connie, I just, I sat virtually in the meeting the other night, and I did have stuff in front of me on my computer, and it's nice to see it like actually on paper. And I just want to say kudos to you and your team. I've been a board member for 4 years, and the transparency and going through line by line by line, explaining each and every single piece to this budget has been instrumental in making a good decision on my behalf. So I really appreciate you for that. The exciting thing, I'd like to give kudos to the board for going through and understanding and passing. We went to a new software system that at first appeared to be a bit of a ruckus-muckus mess. And so I feel like we as a team worked well together to support them so that they could get through the pieces so that the budget could come forth and show us every piece that we need to see. So kudos to us as a team as well.
Yeah.
So Travis, just as a chair, as a quick reminder, because we didn't talk about, but the reason going to the salary schedules we have in front of you, so you can put them in the software for the future.
I was going to ask, the new
Because
software
that's
requires every
software
position.
needs to do that so we can make good decisions going down the road.
Remind me, Connie, this is to allow you to run scenarios. So when you go through and
Correct.
you can project budgets further and have real numbers.
So it's real numbers. So it takes it. If we say we want a $1,500 increase to base, it'll do that for each and every person. It'll do their retirement. It'll do their benefits. It'll make, and that's the budget that you see up there is pretty close to a penny for salaries and benefits. It's because of the software. So yeah.
It's not a spreadsheet.
But also, we needed you to approve salaries so that we could get contracts out. So in the next week and a half, we'll be getting contracts out. We'll get
they had classified letters out, so all those things can be done before every day leaves for summer.
Summer break. All right, board, any other questions? Knowing that we're going to lose our business manager here as she makes a run for the border. Any other questions? Last call.
And I have my phone, you can text.
Right. Thank you, Connie.
So that means you have to stay in cell phone.
Overtime.
Maybe not.
All right. Okay, next up, we're on principal reports, all right? Yes.
We are. So our spotlight of the day is New West Alternative School. So with that, before Mike presents with his crew, do you have any questions for the rest of the reports?
Well, I was a little concerned about the mugging I saw at Cloud Peak. Seemed like Mrs. Scarlett really let poor Mr. Ferris have it. I can't believe we put up with such a behavior.
I thought I missed something.
Me too. I really enjoyed the Roy and Jeff this time.
Yeah.
I thought that was fun.
Thank you. I did want to clear something up. We do not have the class of 2022 coming through tomorrow. It is indeed the class of 2024. So, slip of the fingers or something. So, anyway.
All right.
Other questions, Jen?
Just kudos to the coaches who are here and going to state. How many are you taking, Mr. Mayor?
38.
38. You're going to play.
We are taking 22 girls.
And who are you playing?
100.
So first at regionals for the girls and second for the boys. So congratulations, coaches. That's awesome.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, real quick on Craig's report, I think it's something that doesn't get enough piece, and it starts our kids in 3rd grade, and it goes all the way through 8th grade. The numbers for the mini bank that starts, wow. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, 104,356 with 209 accounts. I mean, that's amazing. And what an opportunity for our kids. I have a 3rd grader, and so seeing at what level 3rd grade starts, and then I go in and do Wyotown, do the interviews, and kind of see like through that, and it'll be exciting to see 6th through 8th, what all takes place. So it's a really, I think it's a great thing that we have that doesn't get enough attention.
Hopefully, not too long, we'll
pretty
be talking
amazing.
about $500,000 that our kids have in the bank.
Yeah,
In the bank.
that's just phenomenal. So.
As long as it's not cryptocurrency.
You know where to go for a
Can you tell
moment.
us what went on in regionals? The track?
Regional track.
Yeah.
We had 3 girls. That was our girls team. They took 4th.
Wow.
Not too bad. For our boys, we had, I can't remember how many took, 15? No, we had a total of 16 kids out, 15 made it to state, and the boys took 2nd at regionals.
Wow. Congratulations.
So, really good. And we have a new high jump record for sure. So our little freshman girls already got the high jump record in our school, and so we're looking for an exciting 3 more years with her.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Randy?
I know I got a little overzealous and sent out an email over the weekend while I was working, while we're talking about budgets. But, Mr. O, I was working and happened to stop by high school when they were doing the sports deal. And it was pretty amazing to see the interaction for it. And I don't want to stereotype a bunch of kids that involve themselves with esports and gaming and that kind of stuff after school programs. But I feel like it was very, very cool to see interaction from multiple schools, Special Olympic kids with the other kids, and they were all on one team and playing with each other, and just the general interaction that I got, and I got to interact with them as well, and going around in my costume the entire afternoon, and hopefully not intimidating, but being able to talk to them and get the feel of how they, what they think about the programs, and so I really took a lot from it as far as felt like that those type to another club, I think it's very, valuable to say at least for a lot of kids who might not be involved in other, quote unquote sanctioned activities. So, I hope that we can in the future continue to find ways to, I know Ms. Swiker, I know she did a really good job of granting, getting grants for all of that, all the stuff that they have in the lab. Because that was one thing that I got from a lot of the other schools was how impressed they were with facilities that we have at Buffalo High School. So I think we try that and pass that along to her.
Yeah, I'll do that. And it is absolutely a priority for us to engage every student somewhere, right? Every student engaged in something. Thank you.
Anything else from the board? All right, spotlight time.
Dr. Hanson, you were up.
Thank you. And just because I can with my dad hat on for just a second, and just give one more kudos to the BHS track and field program. I was sitting in my yard at the table having coffee Saturday or Sunday, I don't know, what this weekend, and Coach Walker and her family came by and pounded a little wooden bison into our front yard that said, 3A state track and field horizon. And it was just one of those extra little things that give the kids that drive to keep contributing to a really good, strong, powerful program. So please, thank you, Mr. Mater, and commend your coaches on that. That was nice. So I'm not going to do too much talking. Y'all read my report and have asked questions if you didn't have any questions, I guess. I'm going to let 3 New West High School students do some talking tonight. We have with us Mr. Riverweight, Mr. Jonathan Sickler, and Miss Liberty Rogers. And they're all 3 graduating with us in just a few days. And I will only say a couple things and I'll give them the floor. Liberty's been with us for 1 year. Johnny's been with us for 2 years. And River's been with us for 2.5 years. So they've all had a little bit different experiences, kind of what we do at New West. And they're going to just take a little time and they've each prepared something in writing and read what they've written for you all. And I know they definitely appreciate it. If you had any questions, wanted to ask about what their experience has been like during their time with us. But I think what I'll do is let them all sit up here because they've got some paper in their hands. So Liberty, if you want to grab a chair, and I'll bring one more up for River. Maybe we'll just scoot that one up here. You guys can arm wrestle over who gets the best chair. Okay. You can have this one. And I'll close you right in there. Okay. Thank you. I think River's going to go first. Go ahead.
Well, hello everybody.
Hello.
My name's River Waite. I'm a graduate at New West High School. To begin, just a little backstory. I was born in Billings, Montana. I came to Buffalo about 4 to 5 years ago. I would have to say being here has definitely shown me the values of Mother Nature. For sure, Buffalo is a very pretty place. But besides the point, we are here to talk about Dr. Hanson and his school. I've never really had a great experience or career in the school system. I have always had trouble listening and staying on task, but I can blame that on my ADHD. My experience at VHS, I'm going back a little bit, was okay. I just couldn't keep up with the work. I just needed help. I would say I had a team of teachers and peers at BHS that pushed me to get it done for sure, but I just knew I was too far behind and I needed something different. I heard about the school and all of its benefits, so I decided to put in an application. And as I was accepted to New West Alternative High School, which made me super excited, of course, because the curriculum is focused on getting young adults ready for the real world. Besides social skills, they take time to take care of students' work, and make sure you take care of your own work as well. they would pretty much do whatever you need to make sure you feel welcomed and comfortable. They will check up on you when you're looking down, and they will support you when you're feeling good. New West is a great alternative if people are looking for a place where they just need more time and maybe some support to get stuff done. They would even give you a place to be alone if needed. I would recommend this school for sure. It's a kind of cool, laid back facility, but with that comes rules and regulations, of course. But overall, it's a wonderful school and a great place to get you started.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I started US last year, beginning of the year. I went to school at Fairmont before that, but I just never really liked school that much. Partially just because I don't want to be there, but I also didn't understand what they were teaching me really. But at New West, it seems they help you, they give you the extra help that you need to understand the stuff that you're getting taught, and they've also helped me a lot to set up my life. Tomorrow, actually, I have a job interview at YDOT tomorrow that Miss Howell helped me get. So that's been really helpful. Like last year, they helped me get an internship at MindRight Technologies, which was a really great experience. But since I'm graduating this year, it's kind of upsetting because it doesn't really seem like you're leaving the school. It's more like a family because you're all so close. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the interview.
Thank you.
Okay, hello, my name is Liberty Rogers. I'm a New West High School senior. Like Mr. Hanson said, I am a first year student at New West. I'm a little nervous, but here we go. Alright, my education journey has been bumpy to say the least. I was homeschooled from preschool all the way up to 10th grade, and because of this, I excelled in subjects such as history and English. However, subjects such as math and science were a little more difficult to adjust to. During my high school years, I was taught in a very classic way. And then in early 2021, my family experienced an unexpected event. My mother had to work and could no longer homeschool me. Therefore, I started public school, and I felt really lost. I didn't know what a tardy was. I didn't know I had to put my name on things. I had a 0 on my first assignment. Switching from classical math to Common Core, from 3 siblings to 20 classmates, bells, walkers, pets, everything was new and a huge change. This change was very different and difficult for me. I started falling behind and unfortunately experienced some of the worst anxiety in my life. I was super anxious being around so many students and curriculums that I was unfamiliar with. And because of that, I had lots of absences. I knew that something needed to change for me to be successful. That's when I chose to apply to New West High School, and it was the best decision I made. I was able to get the attention and one-on-one help from my teachers that I needed to get caught up. The teachers and staff have been the kindest, most helpful people I've ever met, and being in smaller classes helped ease my anxiety. Having those hands-on experiences, field trips made me truly enjoy coming every day, and having new opportunities to help me prepare for the real world was very valuable. I learned so many things inside and outside of the classroom, and New West gave me a drama-free, positive environment where I felt safe and able to do things outside of my homeschool comfort zone. Teachers make it a priority to help you and listen to you. They have helped me succeed and feel prepared for the next chapter of my life. Because of how awesome they are, I want to become a teacher and make a difference in students' lives like they have in mine. This year, I have had the opportunity to have an internship at the middle school, where I got to work closely with students in a teacher's aid position. I truly feel connected with the students, and I have enjoyed every single minute of it. I'm so thankful New West was able to give me this opportunity. I was also encouraged to work hard this year and successfully managed to maintain a 4.0 GPA, get a 97 in Sheridan College psychology class, and was awarded a $4,000 scholarship.
No, yeah. You go, girl.
New West does not even feel like a school. It feels like a family that is always there for each other and encouraging each other. We laugh, have fun, learn, and make so many memories. It's hard to imagine these successes without the opportunities I was given anyway. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to be a part of this incredible school.
Oh, well said.
If I can ask, what are your plans after graduation?
Oh, well, I'll probably stay in the workforce for a little bit, try to make my money up, and then I think I'm gonna try to. My main goal is just try to travel. I want to be a photographer, but that's gonna take school, of course. But I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about schooling, like jumping right back into schooling. Like you're free, let it be free for you. And then, but I also do think about like photography and like taking some classes. Like you can do that all at home.
Yeah.
So I kind of have an idea of what I want to do.
So pursue your dreams.
Yeah, thank you.
To Dr. Hanson, thank you for what you do for kids. It's amazing. Sasha, you're here. Mrs. Heil, thank you guys for doing this because you probably wouldn't be where you're at without this program. So,
100%.
yeah, so thank you guys. And you were a very good speaker.
So we need to bring another thing to the table. So Johnny told me many times he'd never be in front of a group of people speaking, even though his mom and dad said once he starts talking, he's never quiet. All right, so he's here today, doing public speaking.
Doing well. Doing well.
All right, congratulations. You just make me feel older. That's all.
I will say that when I was in school, alternative school, or we call it day school, was kind of the school that you went to when you couldn't behave well enough, or you had problems that you went through. I think you guys are a shining image of alternative. It's an alternative, and it meaning it's a choice. It's a different choice that you guys made. You talked about anxiety. You talked about public speaking, and both of you did that today. And I don't think that either one of you, or any of the three of you, probably ever have thought last year or the year before that you'd be sitting in front of a bunch of strangers, looking at you. And I think that what you guys have accomplished, be proud of it, own it, and let that continue on through your careers and through everything. I want you to understand how, what this is. Take a pat on the back for what this is, because this is something special.
That's the whole crew.
Yeah, and I do mean that for all of you, for the entire staff. It's pretty damn cool to be able to see students that have that alternative, quote unquote, to be able to go to a different school to still be successful. So you don't end up, just your other alternative is to not go to school. And more times than not, that just doesn't come with a good outcome. So be proud of where you are. Be proud of what you did, and don't stop. Don't stop now. Keep pushing. And it sounds like you guys are going to do that. So congratulations on what you've done. And again, please relay that to everybody. That's very impressive. What you guys are doing.
Outstanding finished product.
Any other questions for these guys?
You guys took some field trips this year. Did you have any favorites?
Hard Mountain.
Yeah, that did sound like a neat one. I kind of had to take that one out there.
You'd probably be a chaperone next year, wouldn't you?
I would, as a matter of fact. Come on.
I like the ice skating.
Oh yeah. Had you been ice skating before?
Actually, it was my first time. It was a good experience, especially with my family. It was good. It was fun. Fell a few times. Got up though.
Got back up.
Got up and brushed it off and kept going.
What you do in life too.
Yeah.
Remember that.
You get knocked off the horse, you get back on.
Well done, all of you. Anybody else? Thanks, you guys. We appreciate you coming and talking to us. Well done.
See you on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll celebrate this, guys, on Sunday, 11 o'clock at the VHS auditorium. So then we'll get to talk about them in return. So you guys can duck out.
How many seniors do you have up there?
Ask that question again.
How many seniors again?
With the 4 that graduated in December, we'll have 13 walking.
Will the 4 come back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They've all been back. One's been out of state, checking who's going to be enrolling in college out of state, and has come back to get his captain down and be there and everything. So we're really excited to all be there. 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. VHS auditorium. Thanks, guys.
Good job, everybody.
Well, you might want to think about the agenda better next time. You have to follow that. Superintendent's report is up next. That's gotta be a
Okay. So with mine, the parent liaison videos there, again, super exciting. We had another meeting today with the funding secured for the next 2 to 3 years. Some really good stuff happening with the K-5 parent liaison. As far as the superintendent's report, as the chair, if you have any questions for me, I'll try to answer those so we can speed those along. But I do want to take a minute and talk about Von Dahl. We have a lot of community members doing a lot of things, but if people don't realize that Von Dahl, there is a state award that's given in his name in reference. So this gentleman's impacted came from Buffalo. He's impacted not only Johnson County, but the state of Wyoming. Superintendent's Association gives an award to people who are champions for education. So Vaughn was an inspiration not only in this community, but at the state level, so he will be missed. Okay? So with that, any questions about my report?
Board questions for the super.
I was with Vaughn. He was a true gentleman. He hired me.
Wise too. All right, guys.
People make a couple signs that wasn't the way it was when I was there.
Anything else, guys? Any questions for the super? All right, next up, director reports.
Any questions for the directors that are here tonight?
So I can't let y'all off the hook, John.
You know what we want to know. Hit us, baby.
So
Tell us.
John, you had the Black Belcher Insurance Company come and do findings on the schools. Do you know what their findings are?
They just come through and I believe it's for renewal. I wish Connie was still here.
No, that's me.
Okay, Charles. So I think they're just looking at the main mechanical rooms, air handlers, boiler, large mechanical. So they got an idea if something were to happen in one of our facilities, they know. And I had to fill out, I was going to attach a link and I didn't. It was 5 pages of information that I had to give them. Age of the boilers, roofs, makes, models.
So have they got the findings back to you?
No.
Okay.
No, what they'll do, and they did this 2 years ago. Anyways, they come back and they gave some recommendations or what they're just a little write up. It was nothing major. It's just Charles asked them to come in and do it. And
So that is what I brought in. So when we did our facility evaluation, we have $20 million worth of projects that we have to fund over the next 7 years. Part of that is our insurance wants to know where we're at. So they do these evaluations of the facilities based on where they're at, what they need to be working on, because they are our insurer of our facilities. So this is more just to come in and review, and then we parallel what we're doing. So it's kind of just general proof that we're trying to keep our facilities up, which will hopefully keep our costs for insurance down to show them that we are moving forward. So very similar to the ADA compliance that we had when the state came in, and that's all the work we're doing this summer too. This is very similar with insurance, so just a lot of parallels. I'm not going to ever tell an insurance company not to come in and look at our facilities because that would be the red flag. But this is one of the things that we're doing to sustain, not only show them that we have great facilities, but more importantly, they're connected with John to show we're trying to maintain them, which is critical to what our annual cost to hold or have insurance in the district is. They're not here to play gotcha. They're just here to help us. So.
John, final question for me is on the redact access quotes, is vendor C, is that a local company?
Casper.
Was there any locals that did?
Sheridan, Montana, and then Casper.
Well, those sit down. Tell us about the elevator part. You got one part.
I wish I had good news. They finally got back to me today, probably about 3 hours before the meeting. And it's in Memphis, is what they said. And I asked if I needed to go to Memphis.
Fair question.
But it's been 2 weeks of emails and no crickets. No one responded to emails, phone calls, or anything like that. Again, it's out of my control. I wish I had better news, but visiting with Mr. Ostheimer, we're going to go as planned as last year. But there will be no elevator for graduation. The good news is I did speak to them that they're going to give us 17 to 18 months of our Gold Star package that we pay for quarterly. I asked for it in writing that the district will not be paying that. We'll still maintain our gold status. So.
Good call. Anything else for facilities?
So, Mr. Chair, just so the community and everybody that's watching knows, we are doing everything that we can. But more importantly, we've improved in some systems. I mean, we're doing the best we can with what we have. The BHS staff has been tremendous with making arrangements. John's staff, I heard him asking about different things on how to set up. So if there's questions or concerns in the community, please reach out to BHS. They've been really good about this process. John's team is doing the best they can, but this is about what we control and don't control. And again, a controller or a motherboard we don't control right now. So just so everybody knows, it goes up and down. All right, everything is in place. We're just waiting on one electronic component to be certified and plugged in, and we'll be ready to go. So the process is working, right?
They won't let me run the remote controller. I already tried. It does move.
John, I may have said that for you. Please don't take that as a criticism. I know you and your guys have busted your butt doing good on this. It just, I really was hoping it would be up for graduation.
You can always control the controllables.
That's right. Nothing on you guys.
We all knocked on wood the day they said it was going to be ready to go.
Yeah, I was scared too.
But we're closer from what we were a month ago or 2 months ago.
Absolutely. We're gaining.
Any questions for anybody else?
Mr. Chair, Phil, I hate to see you here and not answer questions. So, the new vehicle that you guys are wanting to purchase, will that be an addition to the fleet, or are you going to trade something in on it?
It will be in addition to the fleet. It is reimbursable through the state. It is a shop truck, so we'll be able to equip that with everything that the state allows us to. That's been right. There's several specifications, but we're looking at getting a plow, getting it set up with the service beds, things like that, so we can better go out and rescue all the buses, all the staff vehicles, and they're not usually Johnson County buses. This weekend we were in the Rollins bus. It didn't make it out quite off the interstate, so we spent some time working on the Rollins bus, and we had to hook onto it to bring it in. So
They were this close.
Yeah, they were that close. They were on the off ramp coming from Casper when it broke down. But we were able to get them going again this weekend, and it's just nice to have a vehicle to go out and do that rescuing, as well as, we do a lot of with our weather protocol. We go out in the mornings to make sure that the roads are passable and some things like that. So we're traveling around and we get into some situations that we could be better prepared.
Bill, it's really nice to see that there's collaboration amongst all the districts, and that when there's a bus that has trouble, you guys will fix it. When you have a bus somewhere that has trouble, another district will help you out.
Yeah, that's the wonderful thing about the state of Wyoming, having that lease program for buses. Likewise, we've had that same thing happen. Our soccer teams were headed to Newcastle last week. They had a little blip in one of our buses. We were able to roll into Gillette. Gillette mechanic looked at it, back on the road. No miss there on that. Able to get going. But, if you look at some of the other states around us, they charter their buses. So they are private entities and they don't work together like that. So they're at the mercy of a tow truck and local transportation to get those kids off the road, where our kids are maybe 15, 30 minutes at most on the side of the road before they're rescued. So that's a good thing in the state of Wyoming.
Hope you have your guys getting video of them dragging rolling buses past the high school.
We did it 2 or 3 times. Crowd didn't notice.
Bill, can I ask you another question? And I'm not sure if this, if you will have the answer for this or not, but, so the FFA team or kids went to Powell recently and they left their event early. How often does that happen and why? Because there were some kids who did not get to compete, but then drove completely over and came back and didn't get to do the horse judging, I guess, which started later. So do you know why?
I do not. That would be a question for the FFA advisor.
So they're the ones who would ask.
Yeah, they're the ones that when they make the request for the vehicle, you know, I don't believe that one was weather related, that we came home early on that one. So that would be a good question for the FFA advisor. You know, oftentimes we look at that, maybe that is weather related. We're like, okay guys, are we going to stay for the awards banquet following this, or do we need to get on the road to get home? But I don't believe that was one of them. I think that was a coach's decision as to where, who, what, and how that worked out. So yeah. We did have 2 vehicles over there. So there was a Suburban and a school bus on that trip as well. So there was a support vehicle for those students as well. So.
Well, I know there was a kid who didn't get to compete. He was very upset about that. And,
yes.
Which is a bummer because I know that's where he's like college oriented towards.
I agree. So we definitely don't want to squash any of those opportunities for the students. Just recently we had one band student that had double obligations. We ended up sending a vehicle with one student to meet the other students in Gillette the other day. We did that with the band student just because that was the one opportunity, because it was a state culminating event for them to be at their district festival. So we made the allocation of that resource to get them over there. So.
Yeah, well, like I said, they were already there.
Right.
I don't understand.
So with that, just encouraging the chain of command. So if there's a concern with the student and the parent, let's start with the ag advisor and then move our way up through that process to understand why if they didn't come home and what that schedule looks like.
Yeah, I was confused on who actually orders the buses. I didn't know if you set up those things or so it starts with.
It starts with
like
the coach.
Would say,
the coach makes the requisition to our activity director. Our activity director then asks transportation, and we have some parameters in our form of a start time, a leave time, and as well as a return time, how many students are going, how many buses are needed, and then we fulfill those requests. It's not my job to dictate if it's a valid trip or what time we're coming home. I leave that at the discretion of the professionals, the activity director, and the coach as to what they need. The only time that I ever really get involved is if it's weather related or safety related. And then I also we triangulate really well. Mr. Mater and I talk at all hours of the day and night. So it's been good.
Mr. Oski gets a call.
Then we ask Mr. Oski, and he usually has a great response to us. As you gentlemen have got this worked out, so thanks for including me.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Board, anything else for the directors?
Yeah, Christy, I'd like to thank you when the 2 track meets we had. Getting it started, and I don't know if people who have never been to a track meet, come on up to the press box sometime and just watch what's going on. I'm trying to get everything loaded and going, and having just stay there for a while and help us out. I know Saturday we ran into some glitches and we couldn't get things talking to each other, and your person, Cameron, she stayed and made sure everything was going, and so appreciate that. Thank you.
So Christy, on your report, are you sure like Apple doesn't have a lifespan like 15 years? Okay. Good job.
Anything else? All right. Next up, Rick Board report.
So applications are in, and 21st, 22nd, 23rd, we will have all of them. Yes.
The final payments were made for last year's round. I think maybe even tonight.
Should be. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. I understand. I get 1 month off every now and then.
Starts on the 21st, that's in KC, and 22nd and 3rd here.
If I could ask, when did that get posted, the balance sheet, because I was on here last night, one there.
This morning. I got an email of it first before it got onto here.
Yeah, Jack usually sends it out as soon as we can, but I didn't check my emails.
All right, any other questions? Anything else? Okay, BOCES.
Just what I reported on in the work session, that they are going up $50. For a day student, it's now, what is it, $682 a day for a day student to stay at BOCES. Now it's up to $732. If they are 24/7, you would add $500 to that, but it's going up to $550 to that. So now per day it will be $1,282 per day for a student going to BOCES. And if they need additional help, if they have high need special you would add $410 to that, and they can do that for 30 days. So.
Any questions on that? BOCES.
So we have not had a meeting, and Jan and Charles both. I am somewhat surprised because this is supposed to happen the 1st of June, isn't it? The official split.
So that will be something that I can ask about, but I haven't heard anything, so.
I'm sure they got their ducks in a row. I would get surprised we haven't had it.
It's just a little, yeah, it's different when you're not having two colleges, to be honest, involved in this process.
There's a lot going on there between that split, and I wish they would kind of keep us a little bit better informed.
Pass the word on.
So I don't have anything to report.
Fair enough. All right, gang, next up, we're to the consent agenda. Minutes, warrants, employment, classified staff renewal.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion from the board.
So just a comment, and I don't want to take it really negative, but I've never seen so many resignations on appointment. So
The end of the year turnover seems.
I just hate to see that. It seems like we're losing some really good staff.
Anything else on consent, gang? Questions, comments?
Do we do exit interviews for all of our?
We can go into executive and I go through each one of these.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking for that.
The reality,
wanted to know if we had.
reality is there are changes that are happening. It's part of where we're at, but there's an explanation for every one of these.
Yes. Okay, any other discussion from the board? All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Okay, that's unanimous. All right, next up, our fun one, preliminary budget. Did I jump? Oh, I'm on. Preliminary budget. Mr. Oskey, since we just sent Connie packing down the road, this one's you.
You need to make it.
Please. My mistake.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024, 2025.
Second.
I'll say.
I got a motion and a second. Go for that. Now, discussion from the board, or Charles, anything else that we need to add, not presented?
No, I think everything was answered hopefully when Connie did her presentation. I mean, we spent a lot of hours last Wednesday going through that, so kind of excited about the future of how we plan our budgets with the detail of new software. So.
Yeah, it's okay. Anything else for on the preliminary budget?
And I just want to emphasize what Dave said earlier, it's a preliminary budget, so as we go through that.
Okay. All in favor of approving the preliminary budget as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. All right, this next one is a little trickier. I gave myself a little prep tool. Okay, next up, we got salary recommendations. And so, you guys listen along to this one, see if you think I got this right. I would entertain a motion to move to approve the superintendent and district business manager's recommendation for the following in one motion. The district will cover all of the 6% increase to the employer's portion of the district health insurance. 2, all employees are granted a step and lane if eligible. 3, all classified employees receive a 75-cent raise to the base. 4, a $1,500 increase to the base of the certified teacher salary schedule. 5, a $1,000 raise to the base for administrative, supervisor, professional, 200-day, 185-day salary schedules. 3, add 3 additional steps to all of the salary schedules. 3 additional steps. And finally, 7, adopt the updated converted salary schedules as presented to allow the district administrators to use the new business software to make salary and budgeting decisions moving forward. So this is a big chunk. I can repeat any of that or.
So
Got a motion in a second. Discussion.
Read your last one, Travis, number 7.
We're going to adopt the updated converted salary schedules as presented to allow the district administration to use the new business software to make salary and budgeting decisions moving forward. The software requires every job in the district to have a budgeting salary schedule.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just for clarification, that would still come before the board for approval at budget time, right? What the district software comes up with for.
Oh, and
Over the final
absolutely.
budget.
Okay.
So this is just granting us, this is all the
To put it
feedback
in
we've got for
and
the
let it
last
use it.
18 months. We're putting it in, it's went from the formula base to the salary schedules. Those get put in. So as part of the finance board, also the updates. We did all classified with EMS. Now we're taking some of these chunks. So it's putting salary schedules into our software so that we can manage what we do.
But to be absolutely.
If there's an increase or a step or a lane, you would come right back to this process again next year because that's what we do. Okay.
But all of the salary adjustments I called off in my list are going to be contracts sent out if we approve this. So this is approving the change to the bases and the hourlies.
Yeah.
If we do this, contracts go and we are going to be bound to these numbers. So we're clear.
And those numbers are in the budget you just approved.
And so Travis, just a comment. I'm glad that we received the ECA so that we can offer these salary increases. Because if we didn't, it would be very difficult to without attrition.
So with that, I'm going to go into how we get to the point here.
Okay, there's a couple of key steps that we've got to take to make this all fly.
And this isn't the first time, we just didn't read this all up, we went through this over
Yeah,
and over.
this was after 5 or 6 hours the other night. And I hope I got it done correctly, Mr. Oskey. Did that sound right?
I did.
Look, I got it? Okay. Other discussion from the board? All in favor of approving the salary recommendations as I just read them, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Thank you, guys. I knew that was a rather a long one, but I didn't know how to get it right without writing it down first.
I'm so tempted to ask you for you.
Yeah, you should have done just for the audience.
Can you get it? Of course you can.
All right, next up. Policy revision, second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve policy GCCAC, medical leave.
We've talked about a couple of times. I've got a motion and a second. Discussion from the board.
Did we have any changes to that, or is it?
So is this a new policy? Is this a policy that was written by the Wyoming School Board Association?
Our legal counsel.
We created this one on our own, had legal help us.
Okay.
In case of a teacher that got sick and they would take them off of our insurance after a certain time unless we had this policy in place to protect them. So this one was custom built for us to make sure we can take care of our people as long as we need to.
So Travis, what triggered it to do this as we've gone 30 years without
Tiffany Songer. There was a chance that she would have been, taken off the insurance, and we didn't feel that was appropriate or right.
Yes, before we get into personnel.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So this was a trigger that we talked about in this process, of also our insurance company and rules have changed. So at a certain point in time, they have to drop. This is kind of that liability, so there has to be policy in place. So when we brought this to you through legal counsel's advice, this is the policy was developed that aligns with our insurance. So we as a district have an option to support our staff.
Other discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving the policy revision from the second reading, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Right out. Policy revisions, first reading, we've got a pile. Let's start with LBD, home-based educational program.
So I'll make a motion to approve policy LBD, home-based school, on the first reading.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion. I believe one of the things we're gonna do is change that to home-based educational program instead of schools. There was a couple of other kind of word salad changes, but I don't think it's anything.
Was this by the WSBA lawyers or arts?
I believe it was WSBA that came up with some of these. Heidi, help me, is that true?
Yeah, when they're reviewing our policy audit, that was one of them that they recommended.
They suggested we make this, so yeah, that's part of our audit.
And to be clear, then Charles, you will look at their, what they're teaching their kids, is that correct? The program they're gonna use, did I read that correctly?
So it's basically the same thing we've always done, but we cleaned up some legal issues that we were out of compliance with this new policy. So, yeah, as you notice, it's a lot shorter than the previous one, so.
But we still don't approve their curriculum.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So what, if any, involvement do we have?
Kind of have to do a read through.
Just acknowledge, like we always do.
And that's a great question to ask. So it says in there that you can go and you can ask them to do some testing. And so if they're way low on the testing, then what? What happens? Anything?
I think the way that's written is only if they want to come back into district do we start testing.
I'm sorry.
We can see if to place them at where do we believe they belong in the district.
All right, but you're right.
Charles or Jen or Mike. Okay. Yeah, so that one's when they re-enter we can see, but until then, totally up to them.
Because it says it shall not be the function of the school district to make any judgment about curriculum content.
Which makes it strange that we review it if we don't get a comment on it. But.
Well, why do we even have any involvement at all?
Because there's a state law that says we do.
Well, and I think it has to do with the compulsory education law too. Kids have to be in school. So this is a parent's way to say, I got my kids in school, and so we don't send Randy and his crew
Hunting
to find them. Yeah.
Yeah, good call. Thank you.
Good answer.
Better answer because I was confused too. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving LBD, home-based school, as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Righto. All right. This one's fun. Policy CFB, evaluation of administrators.
I'll make a motion to approve policy CFB, evaluation of administrators.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion from the board.
So there again, Travis, new policy.
I think we had this one. We just whittled the wording down a bit, but
No, because it
there is
wasn't,
this
it wasn't
brand.
adopted at any time, correct?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there again, what triggered this?
Again, it's the audit from the
It's the School Board Association.
The audit from the association, they said we need one.
So when I read through this, and I would presume it's an annual evaluation?
Yep.
but when I read it, it's not really clear to me. And so there's a line in there, it says goal planning, and I think it needs to say and evaluation.
Oh, so
it's in the second paragraph.
The superintendent or other administrative supervisor will conduct an annual goal planning conference with each administrator.
Right, should it say goal planning and evaluation?
And then it says informative conference
Beginning
should
of
be
the cycle,
conducted
so
at
it's
each
beginning.
interview prior to completion of the summative evaluation.
Beginning of the school year or the
Yes.
beginning of the calendar year?
School year.
School year.
Okay.
Evaluation
So the
cycle,
next
which will be the
paragraph
beginning
down.
of the school year.
Okay, as long as.
In the next one
as
down,
long
we
as
get
it's
the
clear.
Well, I'm hoping so. The second one, the administrator evaluation and superintendent's recommendation, so it's at least implied. I think he's right, we might need to put it in that first paragraph.
So you gotta remember, the superintendent or other administrative supervisors will conduct an annual goal planning conference at with each administrator at the beginning of each evaluation cycle. So that
There you
means
go.
the start of the evaluation, so that clearly identifies that there's an evaluation.
Yep.
And then we complete it by the end of the year.
Okay. Other comments or questions on this one?
So Travis, this is where we went to committee and came back and you and I met with Bridget.
Yeah.
Because of that last paragraph. So we summarized, we moved some of the words around, but I do want to make it very clear to the board that our conversation with Bridget that day and what we have here is a recommendation from legal counsel.
Everybody good? Questions on that final end? All right. All in favor of approving CFB evaluation of administrators, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. On the second reading. All right, policy KB, parental rights. This was because of new legislation, if I recall correctly. Is that right, Heidi?
Yep.
This guy's a chunk.
Travis, I'll make a motion to approve policy KB parental rights.
Okay. Got a motion and a second for policy KB, parental rights.
So, Charles, did they bring this forth because there was questions about parental rights within the school districts?
So this was a legislative that got passed with concerns that school districts weren't, so that's how this law was created. And the School Boards Association was challenged with developing a new policy that aligns to what legislators felt needs to be happening in schools. So there was obviously a concern around the state with legislators that schools weren't doing some of these things, so it became law, and that's where this policy came into play.
So can you give the footnote version of this?
I gotta be honest with you, it just came out last week.
Yeah, it's real new.
And the reality is there is a lot to this. The School Boards Association attorney has not even been able to truly interpret what was here yet, so that is coming.
And remember, it's first reading.
Yeah.
And we all have time.
We've got a month to
We've got a month to
dig in and
fine-tune it.
hopefully get work. Yes.
I mean, judging by conversation as the legislature was in session, I feel like this is giving out as a scare tactic that right now parents don't have rights, and they very much do. They're the parents. They've got it all. I know Mr. Evans has had to hear me say, but I'm the mom.
Yeah.
I'm the mom. That trumps.
Well, Wyoming has had a parental rights law on the books for years.
Right, and so I don't, I'm gonna vote no for this, not because I'm in denial of parental rights, but I think it's a thinly veiled, political statement that was geared way more at, a general misunderstanding or misconception that we are, trying to change children's sexual orientation, or that we are giving, how to be gay classes in public school. I feel like it's a strong political thing that has just been lumped into inherent rights that of course, parents
I've
have
had
already.
Agreed.
I don't think this is that much, and that is very much a personal thing. I don't think this is just about parental rights.
No. I agree. I also would note that legal counsel advises us to get this in place so that we are covered in case somebody should approach us and say, we don't feel like you are protecting our parental rights. We have to have something we can fall back on and say, we are
I
doing
just want you to know,
this.
this is state law.
Yes, we have to have some
So
policy.
this is state law that has to be approved by July.
I don't either.
And I get it. I mean, I feel like it's giving the perception that right now we don't give parents rights, and
We've never had this problem.
I agree with that. We are giving them rights. There are rights, there are policies, but this is a policy that was written due to state law that needs to be in place by July 1st. I, as a superintendent, have a responsibility to bring it in front of you, the board, and have this as a policy written and approved by July 1st.
So Charles, if it's a state law, why do you have to have a policy?
We have to have a policy that shows we're following state law.
Yeah, that's how we comply. Big brother spoke and we must obey.
I want to be very clear. Mr. Oski, as a superintendent, Johnson County School District #1, did not write the School Board Association to say, write a policy for me. They wrote this for all 48 school districts in the state of Wyoming because we have to have a policy in place. There are other things that Johnson County School District is piloting with the School Boards Association, but this is not one.
We used to have about 300 policies. What are we going to be up to? 350 years?
Oh, yeah, we're really pushing the envelope.
And I want you guys to memorize.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I do have one item within the third section 3, parental notifications and instruction, where it says in paragraph 2, when there's, okay.
Where are you at? I see.
In the
Okay,
in section 3, the second paragraph, in order to ensure transparency and allow parents to make informed decisions regarding their students' exposure to instruction related to sexual orientation and gender identity, school employees will obtain written or electronic parental consent at least 1 day prior to any training courses, classes that address sexual orientation or gender identity. But then in the next paragraph, it says that the parents, if they want to opt out, that they are to notify in writing 1 day. So it's 1 day and 1 day. And so and it doesn't say that obviously they can at least 1 day, but then the parent has 1 day before to respond. So how does we all know in the world of communication,
that's for sure.
1 day.
Well, especially
So
if it's in a kid's backpack.
Yeah.
If it's in a kid's backpack or it's in, what right does that give to the parent?
I assumed it was a piece of paper that said aye or no. But I don't know about the 1 day either. Do we need to bump that? Should we say?
Well, and I don't know. I don't know who wrote that, but I'm like,
So I
they're
guess
at least 1 day, but then we have to give 1 day written.
I just want to encourage everybody that this is a policy that needs to be approved. What we agreed to and what you heard is we can come back to the table, we can rewrite. You can look at making adjustments as a board, and then they've recommended that whatever you put into writing goes back to the School Boards Association for their review. And again, this is tied to state law, and they're just trying to cover. So we can have that conversation, bring administrators to the table. I know there's some great concerns with what's in front of you. But if we don't get this approved today, and maybe we can put a committee together and we can work with administration, we have to have this in place by July 1st. So if there's a committee that would like to come together and we don't approve it tonight, we can have a special board meeting. We can bring it to the table for a first reading, then get it to the School Boards Association for review and go from there. But the first reading does not put this into play. The first reading, all it does is bring it to the table, and then we can come back and make changes. So I'm just being persistent enough in saying the attorneys wrote this for a reason according to state statute, and that's their expertise, not me. So we can argue all the points that they put in there, but there's a reality. They put something in place according to state statute. And that state statute we're trying to abide by as a district. So I would encourage, if we can get this first reading, if there are a couple board members that would like to sit on a committee with
Charles,
Bridget.
point of order on that. We have a policy committee, we have
Yeah, we
several
have a-
board members sitting upon it.
But the policy committee, if you remember, is on summer recess until August.
I thought we put
And
a
we agreed, unless it was a flat emergency, that we was not going to bring that you as a board of trustees would trust, and they would trust you, that with this parental, we agreed in that committee, because it's state law, because the attorney has brought it to the table, that they gave us the right to move forward with that. Fair?
And I'm gonna kind of counter you. I'm not disagreeing with the fact that it's state law and that it's now a requirement that we have it, but I still think we always have the right to discuss it.
Absolutely.
As a board, and I agree with Lynette. I don't think 1 day notice for anyone, I don't know if that's do justice either. So I know it says, but it says at least 1 day, and I can tell, like, from experience, I mean, Craig, you would know, because it's in your school that they do, what is it, 5th grade, 4th grade?
Yeah, but we don't do anything with gender identity.
You don't, but I'm saying, you do send home a note to parents, and it's much more ahead than 1 day to say, here's the materials we're gonna go through, and it happens with other classes as well.
Dr. Miller, help me just look. At some point, we will have the curriculum page fully up and running, and this will be available for parents 24/7 year round. They can see these coming way ahead of any 1 day issue. So,
Is there anything we're currently denying parents the way our parental rights policies and procedures stand right now?
I'm aware of. Jody, you had something?
I think on this thing where it's talking about 1 day, it doesn't mean that the parents are gonna receive it on Thursday in the training or the class or curriculum is on Friday. Those parents may receive that thing today, and the instruction of that is gonna be on the 15th of June. They have to have it to them by the 14th.
Back by
I think that
Agreed.
is what that means. I don't think it means, here's your letter, you have to sign it today, because we're doing it tomorrow. I mean, just like you pointed out with all the puberty stuff that goes on in 4th and 5th grade classes, those come out to parents a week ahead of time or so, and you need to return it to them. But I think the parents are
Up
going
until
to,
1
yes.
To get it back.
Because I read it the same way as
There
Lynette,
are
where
situations though, I mean, I just think about like a parent, what if you're on vacation with your kid?
I
What
get
if
that,
you're-
I do, but I mean, I think our schools
I just
here
wanna
do
make
a
sure
really
that
nice
when it comes
job.
back to us, that our communication is clear within this district.
I think
Well,
our
I-
school does a nice job with sending out messages.
I agree.
Text, emails.
I'm not
phone
denying
calls,
that at all.
And they do that, but,
I'm
I mean,
just
that's what I think
pointing
that's
out
been
in
saying,
policy.
I don't think it's.
How about we make policy what we can?
So can I just add something? So Jody brought up the puberty that happens in 5th grade. Yeah, it does. But we have some instruction that goes on. No kid participates in that instruction unless we have either a signature from a parent or our school nurse has talked to the parent and we know it's the parent on the phone. And so, yeah,
We're already
stuff gets
doing
sent
this.
home ahead of time. And I would imagine that's across the board. And no, we do not talk about gender identity. Maybe someday we will. I'll probably be gone, but anyway.
And Mr. Chair, if I'm, just as a member of the policy committee, I understand we have to have something in place by July 1. Is that correct, Mr. Oski? It could be possible, if it was the board's desire, to put something in place and then prioritize looking at it
Start here next
once
year.
we get into next year. And if there's some things that the board wants the policy committee to look at specifically, we could be tasked with that.
Yeah, good call. Other discussion, board? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving KB Parental Rights 2024, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. 2. Was it Jen?
No, okay.
Sure.
I might own
Sergeant.
Just
I don't
checking
like
us.
the policy, but I'll go for the first reading.
I agree. Okay, next up, policy file BEER. There's a dash in there, so it didn't actually beer. Oh. It better be a high school policy. Okay. I would entertain a motion to discuss policy beer rules of practice 24.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All right, board. What did you think about this one?
There again, we'll make sure we know this is first.
Yeah, first reading
And a lot to read.
there better be a training class or two before anybody makes me hold up my end of this.
I think this needs to be presented, Mr. Chair, excuse me, it should be presented to us at a work session to go through it.
I would like that.
Entirely. What's the background, Heidi, on this one, please?
So this is in conjunction with the parental rights policy. This is in tying into that communication study. So we already had a policy, they wanted to add this verbiage to go with it.
And was that tacked on as part of the audit, or is this a,
No, it's part of that other parental rights policy that needs to be in place.
so who wrote this one for us? Where did the change come from? School Boards Association wrote this as part of the one we just talked about. Okay.
So why does the state really need this?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Right upside with local
So just
control.
to be clear, this is something that they want us to have in place again. But we can certainly pass this on first reading and then at a work session we can go through it and get the details.
I love Dr. Hanson's idea too.
Yeah,
is
I like that
policy committee
also.
start here when you reconvene.
Does this have to be by July 1st as well?
So, what I'm hearing, because there's a time frame, what I'm hearing is what do I control and not control? I don't control timelines that's been established by legislation. So, and I hear their concerns. I hear that there's a work session and possibly bringing this back to the committee. So a commitment on the board's part to do a work session between now and July 1st. That means bringing legal counsel to counsel through that. Is that what I'm hearing you would like to do? Maybe at the work session in June.
We want to do a special.
Yeah.
I mean, just because of the sheer length of it, even if we could have legal.
We need to understand it better.
I completely agree. So we wish to have this brought to us at the next work session and have legal counsel coach us through what all of this entails. And I assume we're going to want the same advice on the previous one, or are we going to do them one at a time? It sounds like they're tied together to me, so we probably need them both. But Charles, if you think that's right, say so.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I follow the direction of the board.
Okay. Sort of uncharted ground for me. All right, board. So what is our go? Are we going to approve this on first with the understanding we will have a work session on this at our next scheduled work session, or do you want to call a special session to deal with this? Just the regular work session with the legal counsel next round. Okay. So all in favor of approving the beer rules of 24 as presented for first reading only, with the understanding we will go over this at the next work session, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
It'll be the one policy number we always remember.
What if that's an accident? All right.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
So June 5th is our regular work session. We have strategic plan review. We have ESSER 3 plan review. We have 24-25 budget update. We have a superintendent's evaluation. And now we have this. Okay.
Charles, how long will the ESSER 3 review take?
I had my wishes 3 minutes.
Well,
So
it's
because we'll bring a committee.
it's going
together,
away,
we'll
so.
talk, but, yeah, so. But I'm just pointing out.
It's going to be a heavy work session.
So, I also want to say, in fairness to me, I would like my evaluation to be done with some time,
right,
not rushed at the very end. So if we do need to have a special meeting to do my evaluation, I would appreciate that, or that would definitely have to be done in July.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Isn't your evaluation always done in a special meeting?
I would hope it's not done at the end at 11 o'clock.
Gotcha, I understand. So I think that should be first.
So we can put those into play, but that's something that I need to talk about.
And when we get there, if we need to, we can always table it for another day.
Yeah.
If it gets too late. Even though I hate to bring.
I was going to drag legal counsel in here and then say, oh, sorry, we're gonna not get to that tonight. So let me come up with an agenda, you guys, and see if I can approximate some times. I will send it out. If you guys will get back to me, we can decide about splitting that load into a couple of meetings.
Looks like I'd be receptive to having the superintendent evaluation
As a
meeting
standalone.
all its own.
I think that's the most appropriate course too.
That deserves time and attention.
I agree with you 100%. That should be a meeting all to itself.
So what is the pleasure of the board? Do we wish to pick a time for a special meeting as an action item and have that, we'll split that to its own item? Agreed? Okay, so when we get into action items, somebody bring that back to my attention, please. Outstanding. Okay, what's the next? I need a motion to do what we all just said we were gonna do. If somebody got it down right. Oh, let's see. Communication plans next. Yeah, we got the first reading done. I'm trying to decide if we need to split the special meeting for the superintendent's review.
I think that's something we can just conduct as the chairman and figure out a date.
Okay.
Because May is a very busy month with graduation going on. Like I said, the work session is going to be the.
I don't think we can add anything right now to the agenda anyway.
Oh, you're right.
So, yeah, get it figured out and we can always call a special meeting.
Okay, that'll work. All right, next up, communication plan. Seeing the request for proposal and the responses we've got. Need a motion to make.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the Kalin Marketing Solution as our communication plan for the upcoming year.
I would second that.
Got a motion and a second to accept the Kalin Marketing Solutions proposal for our new communications plan. Discussion from the board.
To be clear, that is what they quoted us is a year plan. Is that correct, Charles?
That's how over the next 2 years.
Excuse me?
Over the next 2 years.
So, let's go back then. It was $39-something thousand per year or for the 2 years?
Total package.
Total package of 2 years. Okay, thanks for the clarification. Makes me feel a little better.
This was the one that we saw.
At the board training, that's right.
Yeah. I just think we know what we're getting.
Real good training.
Why do we need it?
We're not taking great advantage of some of the communications channels that people are using, and so we're missing opportunities to get in contact with our community. There's some ways we can improve on that. She's going to try to help train us in how to do so.
I think they're going to.
Not communicating well.
Yeah, the 160 kids that are outside the district in this county right now, easily.
They're also going to review our website to make it a little more user-friendly, I believe.
Yep.
Right? And of course, what you alluded to, Randy and Travis, is the goal is to try to get more students, get a lot of those students back in school here, and that will help justify the cost.
That's the goal anyway.
Mr. Chair, okay, so I had a question. For lack of a better word, the Pasco Public Relations, I felt like it was more designed, like with Johnson County in mind. I feel like that they went through every scope. But my question is this, and I could be wrong, but were their fees like a la carte? Like they just kept adding on? And so,
You are correct.
Oh, that's right.
I was a little confused. Okay.
It's more of a menu than a.
More, yeah, and so everything, like we could pick and choose kind of, but everything was just an added
the other one can add on a little bit for transportation, they said, and, was there lodging?
Yeah,
They're
lodging
thinking
and
too,
meals.
except it's not gonna be much of an ask.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
didn't we use Pascal before?
For the COVID website, I believe.
They did the communication piece with COVID for the district accounting and was, kind of led some of that throughout the state allowance.
Do you have I mean, this is not my wheelhouse, so I guess I have to defer to you, Mr. Roski. Do you have one or no?
So to come back, when you guys came back from the School Boards Association training, this is the individual we've seen that's working in school districts. I think the focus is intentional of what you as a board,
This
heard
one?
of the school boards.
Yes.
Telling. Yep.
Okay.
So that communication piece, you'll also see in her the other school districts that she's already working with,
Okay.
very similar to that piece. I know Pascal has done a great job for us. Those are some add-ons, but what kind of initiated starting having this conversation was the presentation that was given to the School Boards Association.
And you guys really thought she did a bang up job?
She did.
Oh, she did.
She identified several avenues of communication that would be not difficult to implement, that we are missing the boat on terribly. There's just a lot of success stories that people don't know are happening. So it's on us to get that out there.
She gets excited about education. I thought.
Yeah, we all left thinking, boy, can we do good things? Anyway. All right, any other discussion on this one? All in favor of approving the proposal presented by Talent Marketing Solutions, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Next up is access control. Okay. Charles, can you get us up to speed?
You have to have a motion.
Oh, sorry. Every bloody time I got to.
I'll make a motion to approve the quotes presented for the access control projects for Metal Arts Club, and Buffalo High School.
Now we need some information because I didn't understand that.
Can I get a second? We've got a second. Okay, motion and a second. Can you break this down for us a little bit? Tell us.
So these are the access control. I'll turn it back over to John, but this has been our goal to go to one platform district-wide. So we have systems that are failing, your entrances to your door, so that access control is updating and going to one system district-wide. So that's been our initiative, to help with John and the programming of all the doors around the district. So this is part of that project or that initiative that we're trying to do. So.
Guys, help me. This is even simple stuff like when we have a professional training day and teachers need to go to buildings that aren't typically theirs. They right now have to have help getting in, and they would be able to key their way to such meetings.
What this does, every building in our district has access control fob readers. Right now, we had 3 systems when I started here 3 years ago. We're down to 2. Precision Edge is no longer supported. These 3 buildings are on Precision Edge. I have to get them moved off before it crashes when it is all access control. I believe I touched on this in previous board reports about access control projects coming up. We need to get to one platform. Not much is going to change but a fob, and just the operating system that operates it.
So this was part of our project to go out for the COPS grant and try to get that additional funding, but because we didn't get that, we're pushing it through major maintenance because the systems are failing. It's part of that evaluation of the district, different platforms that need to be changed. But we have definitely focused on bringing it to one platform. Ricotta has been the one that they've chosen to go with, so this kind of aligns to what's in the other schools.
So all the cameras, all the doors will be on one platform.
So
gas management will be on we have a sensor in the data center in case we have AC failure in there. It alarms the technology department, maintenance department. That's all hands on deck. We can't have the data center meltdown. most of you remember, we did access control at Clear Creek last year. The year before that, we did it in KC school. So let's just get these last buildings up to speed on access control. It ties to the lockdown, it ties to the fire alarms. It's crucial for safety.
And then we talked about badges around the district, so you have staff badges and so identification pieces. So once you get to one platform, there's a lot more opportunity for some of the things that we would like to do. So it's all on one platform, one reader, one system that we can maintain. So.
And with this system, I can put all the staff to create those badges. Just have to pick cards, we have samples, pick a printer, and then we'll have cards.
The picture on the badge
which will help.
Fabulous. It's itchy.
No one trouble with this. It'll also help transportation when they're at state events or at other schools. They'll know that they're with the school, they're the bus drivers. So I think it's crucial to the district to upgrade these systems.
Charles, is there any ESSER 3 funds left? Because ESSER 3 also involves safety, and John's talking about safety. Because it's to do the 3 schools, you're looking at $180,000+.
So he's also using, John, how much is
using
This
what?
is all major maintenance funding. All the
We're also
quotes come
using
under.
security funding, right?
Yes, on the metal art building I chose to use, we have a little over $19,000 in the capital security funding. I believe that was stated in my report with a dollar amount. Johnson County School District was awarded $1,638,000 for security. There were so many strings tied to it, no one wanted to use it. The state has released the strings on it. Guest management was done. Clear Creek Middle School was done with security funds. That account's going to be gone because legislature is going to pull that money back. And they said, use it on this. So I also asked if I could use the other $4 million that's on the field that other districts haven't used, and they told me no.
Good thought.
So John, help me just a little bit, and I don't want to take a lot of time up to understand this. So you get the first page. It's pretty clear to me, that you have the hardware and software in place, and you're at 47,000. Then the same quote goes in, and is it just the different monitors and stuff within that school? Is you have additional $18,000? The cameras and stuff?
No, there's no cameras. There's some intercoms that are going to be on this. Currently at Buffalo High School, there's an intercom at the lower gym door. So if any student is behind down at the field, the door's locked, they can go and push. This new system, I could have it ring to Mr. Mater's phone, I could have it ring to Mr. Ostheimer's phone, the coach's phone, to let them in. Everything listed on their Metal Arc is another one I'm adding, an intercom system. Those food service gals, they get trucks at 5 in the morning. They don't know who's out there when it's dark.
Sure.
So it's a safety deal. They'll be able to buzz in. People inside the building will be able to see who's outside. And professional services, I believe is how it's listed. For the $17,992, is that what you're talking about? That's install. That's install of all the
So,
products.
Mr. Ferris, is it working well at your school?
Yes, the access works well.
No issues?
Okay.
Come with any kind of a warranty?
Yeah, it all has warranty, and we have support with that.
Warranty until they do it.
Well, no. I actually have a lot of support around us from Dayton, Manchester to Sheridan to Casper, and I have Bricata as well in California. Like I said, it'll be on every building. And with this, I can program times for every door that has Bricata access control. Where Buffalo High School, I can't. They have other events like custodial door, or South Auditorium door. I cannot put a schedule on those. Brandon's building, I know Mr. Glassick we've taken advantage of scheduling doors we've never been able to schedule before for events. So that way they can focus traffic coming in the one door. And then going out other doors so it comes in handy. And that way the custodians know that those doors are scheduled and no problem. You check them, but it's
important explanation.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I Word docs earlier and wasn't able to open those. But now that I have questions that are not public session questions, they're executive legal questions. Is it possible for us to address this in executive for discussion and then come
Make the
out
motion after.
for some clarification?
Charles, got any objection? That seems the correct move to me too. I think we need to look at this one closely.
Okay, what are we going into executive for personnel reasons, for legal reasons?
I would say potential /
Legal reasons.
potential legal.
It's posted as personnel legal.
So, yeah,
It's legal.
we could, vote it down, then make another motion to table it until after
discussion.
So this does need to be proved tonight if we're gonna move forward with this project. Okay.
I agree, but there's a few things we need to double check to make sure we're protecting the district.
So we could take action after executive.
Yes, we come out and take the action.
One thing I just wanna add before we do that is I had a mandatory walkthrough with a sign-in sheet. This was invited to 5 contractors. We received 3 quotes. I can't make anyone bid, but I had the sign-off sheet for the mandatory walkthrough.
But we already have the motion on the table, so it has
So
to be.
we voted down.
So I wanna, without going into any litigation here real quick, I want you to understand that everything through our federal investigation, everything has been addressed here. So all the things that might be a concern that came through this process have all been addressed. If there's any of those kind of concerns on the table. Okay?
Board, is that enough? Are you satisfied with this? You're reading the same thing we are, so you guys feel like we covered it, all right?
Yeah, I mean, if those, yep, things have been addressed.
The answer is absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
well, thank you.
Another discussion. All in favor of approving the access control as presented? All 3 quotes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Sure, nothing to it. Okay, from the board.
Travis, I want the board on their own to read policy DIA, if you guys will jot that down and read it.
Okay.
In your own time, just to make sure that we as a board are following our own policy.
Say it one more time.
DIA.
Other things from the board. Somebody else got anything needs addressed here? Hearing none.
So Travis,
please.
This is where I would ask for permission or ask for your feedback. My superintendent weekly reports every Friday. Is there a possibility instead of 3 or 4 hours on Friday, are they serving their needs? Can I go every other Friday? I mean, what is the board like or not like with those weekly board reports?
Yeah.
If it's something that's really beneficial to you every Friday with the time, it's just time management for me, but I really just need your feedback on whether you would like weekly board reports or go every other week.
Question I started was when we have a work session, we're covering all of it at that point, and same thing at board meetings. So if we put it in off weeks when we don't have those, would that be?
Is this a discussion to have in Charles's evaluation?
I suppose we could certainly discuss it. I was just looking to cut down some of the traffic and extensive reading requirements, but every other week or off weeks when we don't have a work session and at need, we can always come through and say something happened.
Because I think in the evaluation, we asked you what we'd like to have, and so I think this is more appropriate for that.
I think it's a legitimate question to say, personally, I'm happy if you're just notifying us whenever crap goes bad.
At need.
You know, if it's important, you know, if it's something that you feel like you need to address for the week, you know, what something happened that needs to be addressed, or this is coming up that needs to be addressed. You can go a month without sending one. Wouldn't upset me. And I know that comes as a surprise to everyone here, but no, I mean, I think that if you know, if it's I think you could definitely dial it back from, you know, everything, because I can only imagine how much time we're spending doing all that stuff every week. And please don't apologize whenever it's a few hours late. It's not necessary. But you know, I think you could probably dial it back to bi-weekly, just to give yourself a week less things on your plate, for sure.
I think they're extremely valuable. I learn a ton from them. I won't lie, it takes me a while to get through it. But I respect the time that you put into it, and so I'm gonna put the same time into reading it, and I have to reference back, because I think we all know my memory's not amazing. So I have to reference back frequently, and I know just where to go. That being said, I can see where it would be prohibitive, but I'm sure you have a couple other things going on. Where if it, you know, eased that burden and for time management to space
I
it
just
out
want to hear
more.
it. If it's valued, then if there's a value and there's a purpose, then we'll do it.
It's absolutely
if there's something
valued, but your time is valued as well. So I mean that's.
But with Dave's conversation, we can maybe have that conversation a little
We
bit.
can, and I'm not opposed to anything, because I'm good with bi-weekly, because there's a lot of redundancy in it, and I'm with Randy, if you just hit the highlights.
Everybody agrees, let's go to bi-weekly, we can further discuss and hammer it out at another point, but for now, switch to bi-weekly or at need. Good go. Am I forgetting anything else we talked about? I know I blew that one.
Nope.
All right, graduation date reminder.
So, thanks whoever made these, Heidi. Appreciate it.
So all the celebrations, we'll get to, it starts Sunday, everybody. So, we can start out with Dr. Hanson, 11 o'clock. What time should we be there? 10:30?
Probably, just to get settled, feel comfortable. They'll probably be filled up by 10:30, I'm guessing.
So one of the questions that Gibb has asked me is, just for knowing, when we were on stage last year at BHS graduation, it was a pretty full stage to get everybody across. So is it an expectation that all of the board is on the stage, or just certain members of the board and myself go up on stage? So
I think last year we did a pretty good job of just, it was the year before we had a whole bunch of people.
So
we used to rotate through.
Yeah.
We picked 2 or 3 board members, and next year have some more.
I think it's however many Gibb wants on stage. Not to put you on the spot, totally, but
I know through Heidi, Jan, Casey have requested to hand out diplomas. My question is Mr. Oski, others that want to be on the platform?
I definitely think superintendent should not.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the super for sure.
I will be on the platform. It's a matter if there's a couple of you as board members that like to hand out certain diplomas, we'll make sure that happens. Just to recognize, don't want to take away the celebration of the ceremony for other people that have put in time and effort to give those guys the diplomas too. But to be recognized and be there, I think it's good for the kids to see. So with that, Gibb was just asking for space and management.
I'm perfectly content if Jen and Casey want to handle this.
Yeah, and Casey, like where you have your son's graduating, right?
No,
No.
I'm just the BHS liaison and I'm
That's
I thought, no, he's a junior.
Just mom.
Okay, because I think Travis said, if you have a member of your family that's graduating,
Yeah,
I absolutely
traditionally.
think you need to be on stage.
Agreed. But
Thank you.
you two are happy handling it? Get up there? All right, let's do it that way.
Thank you.
2 and 1. Jake?
So for Casey, you have all received an email with an updated handout. It has the correct people on stage for handing out the diplomas. And I took the liberty, Chris, of putting you on handing out the high school diploma. So it should have gone to your email for JCSD 1. If you didn't get it, please let me know.
When did you send it, Jake?
Okay, I'll fix that, Jody. Thank you.
Jake, when did you send it?
I sent that probably at 5 o'clock this afternoon.
Okay, everybody satisfied with KC2? Good, all right. Next up, the initiative that we've been discussing sort of at an angle all night.
So Travis, as a board chair, I did send a draft document to you as a board of trustees, and it's something we'll work with administration as we move through. Those are all comments and feedback that I've heard throughout the year, with some of the initiatives in there. EHS has done a great job with their master schedule give us, would like to present to our master schedule committees. They've done some great planning, and we need to sit down and move forward with that. But this initiative is the first part of it. This is where we're at as a district. You've challenged me to come to you as a board of trustees with becoming not only a balanced but a sustainable budget. That's where we're at. And I feel the work that's been done over the last couple of years, and some very fortunate with the ECAs that have been given. We need a long-term plan. We have numbers that are decreasing, all right? And it's just not at the fault of the school, it's the community. I mean, if you look at the community workforce and what we're doing with the housing, obviously there's less families, more retirement. So those are things we have to start doing some long-term planning to sustain. All right, we've heard that as far as our communication plan, where we're at. We're talking about, we're not the only, and this isn't Buffalo, it's everywhere. It's not the only show in town. So there's a competitive edge that goes along with that. Had some really good conversations with administrators that realized that this is an initiative that we start transitioning to next year for the following year, which is 25-26. But for me to be as transparent as I can, if our goal is to be recruiting because of base salary, there has to be some sustainability with where we're at. Our ECA is something that we're beneficial now, but the reality is we lost 1 FTE and our ADM, which drives our model, has gone down. All right, there is some, the incoming kindergarten classes are lower than they've been. So again, we're projecting. Obviously, it's a projection. And it's not just the high school level, but there is a bubble coming up through that was currently in Craig's building. That's coming up through the middle school, and it'll be at the high school as we move through. So this isn't a doom and gloom. It's a process that we can't kick the can down the road. We have to start looking at how do we plan and what do we do to get there, and that perception. So that initiative writes some things in to starting to give numbers and projections of how we do that. That is huge for myself and Connie as we start projecting where we're going to put money and how we're going to put money and what we're going to put it towards. But for me to come to you as a board, this is an initiative that needs to become a priority, that I work with you and I work with district leadership to find something that is obviously obtainable. But through attrition, we need to start looking at where we're at. We need to live within our boundaries. And the boundaries are only going to get tighter. Whether you agree to it or not, the writing's on the wall. ESSER funds are gone, federal funds are decreasing, and the state, we live in a state of Wyoming where minerals drive how we fund education. And if you're doing any reading, you've got to project where that's going to be. We need to be one of those districts that's proactive and not reactive. And that's my goal. I do not want to leave this position in a way that a district has to be reactive to a scenario. I want us to start planning. So when you have a $20 million worth of projects the facilities projects. We're trying to get our depreciation reserve up where we can replace equipment. We want to sustain staff, and we want to maintain the quality of education we already have in JCSD, number one. Then there needs to be some long-term planning, and that's what the strategic plan is. So with that, as a board, Travis, I think the committee that we already have established, we can start looking at scheduling and working with that. So Lynette, you're the head of that. That will be kind of something we discuss and then start bringing this back to the table. And that might be one more thing we add to the work session in June, which again, this is exciting stuff. There's a lot going on, but we do need to have a plan and where we're going to be in the future. Okay.
Agreed.
All right.
Questions or thoughts from the board? It seems to make the funding model match what the budget we just approved matches or looks like. We've got to do this. This is critical to moving forward and staying sustainable. So,
Mr. Chair,
please.
what I like, the one statement that you made, Mr. Oski, I really like is to be proactive instead of reactive. We, for years, and I mean, decades, that's how we have functioned. We haven't done anything until it happens. And I think you have to have, that one statement just should be tattooed across our foreheads. We have to become proactive instead of reactive because I'm tired of that.
Okay, so let the journey begin.
Yes. All right, next up, the repealing gun-free zones.
All right, everybody's sitting down for this one.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that the current state legislators passed a law the governor vetoed. Proactively, we know it's coming back and it will come back at the beginning. So when we met as School Boards Association, we met as WASA, we started talking about if we want to be in control of what this looks like, then they're encouraging communities and boards to start having the conversation. I want to repeat, having a conversation about what your community wants and what it would look like in your school district. So the school district's in control. We just had this conversation with another policy that came in. So this is their recommendation to be in control of what we want. So I want to just inform the community and the stakeholders that this is something we as a board need to look at. It's not something that's getting approved tomorrow. It's going to start looking at a process. I think we need to start with legal counsel, we need to start with insurance, we need to start with law enforcement, and we need to start with administration having this conversation and really dissecting what the law, how it was written, and what it needs to look like. So this is just a kickoff statement that this is something that we need to start looking at. And there's a time frame on this. We need to do this between now and next legislation. So the reality is the clock is ticking. So this is another thing that will be coming to the table, but I'll make it very clear. I'm not here to promote this. I'm here to say we've got to look down the road and we can either be proactive or we can be very upset with what law gets put into place and then we have no control. So we as a community, along with the school board, need to decide how we're going to move forward with this. Fair? Okay. So,
you got thoughts on this one?
Thoughts on this one?
How do we go about getting this discussion going? Randy, I'm going to have to lean on you with that on this. I don't know how we have law enforcement respond to a building full of...
Crazy is coming, and it's coming down the track.
Yes.
We have a very, I consider myself a pretty Second Amendment conservative person, but we have a very far right-wing group that's in the House and the Senate right now that are passing some ridiculous laws. And this is going to be one of them. It's coming. They, came close to overriding this veto, and it's going to come. Do I agree with some of the stuff? Yeah, but do we need to have guns in schools? Probably not. As far as allowing anybody to bring them in, we just got done with back one training. be a complete, S show for us responding as law enforcement to a high school event and have 6 of the parents also on.
Which one?
For an active shooter event. It's gonna be a problem, and, frankly, I don't know how we can prepare for it until we actually have a law passed that says it's okay to do it. And so, I don't know. Because if we as a district decide what those rules and stipulations are gonna be, and then that's overridden by what state law comes down with and says, because we can't make a rule that, overrides what the state
I think
thinks.
what they're asking for, Randy, is to get really truly input from districts, what they really want, so then we can lobby for what school districts want.
We can't even have COVID making on school grounds, but now we're gonna let everyone bring guns in. I mean, right now it's set up where if the kids see someone with a gun, that is the bad guy, unless it's your police officer that visibly shows they're the good guy, and
Well, that's true for the police responding as well. There's only one person in there with a gun. That's who the target is. That changes.
So, I mean, and again, these are conversations that will start, and we can start asking those questions. What does this look like? What does this really mean? Because I respect what you're saying, Randy. I don't want to put a lot of work into this and then we don't get anything. But we really do need to get input from our stakeholders, and I want to say our patrons, our parents, and our administrators. What does that look like? And
Buildings.
what kind of things do we talk about?
We're gonna have to lean hard on the buildings, you guys. Each situation is so unique. We're gonna have to come up with something. All right, we're starting putting your thinking hats on. We're gonna have to figure this one out.
So next one, ESER 3, Dave had a great comment. We're gonna come together as a committee, we'll talk about it, and then I'll come to the board, and we set a target of 3 minutes. So we'll go through that process, but between now and June, we'll have to have an ESER 3 meeting to talk about what that is. Again, it's required, it's part of the auditing process that just kicked off. And just so you know, the first ESER questions that would come out were very simple. Bam, bam, bam. Now it's like, you're putting your answer in serious writing to be held accountable for when the audit comes in. So it's just starting. So okay.
Thoughts on that one? June work session, June 5th, 5:15 here. Everybody pack your lunch. We've got a load of things to do, and we're gonna be here a while.
And we haven't decided when we're going to set.
No, I will send out messages. We can all check calendars outside. And
Okay, thank you.
now we'll get that fixed. Okay, so.
So the work session is here.
This
meeting is in
check. Work session here. June meetings in KC.
What day is that?
May 13th.
No, June.
Wrong date, Trev. This one, June 10th. Thank you.
June 10th. Okay, thank you.
Seniors would be happy, but these are a bunch of
Okay. That brings us to the end of the public session of this. We're going to go into executive session next after a 5-minute break. Everybody take 5, stretch your
We need
legs.
to
Make a motion.
Please.
make a motion to enter executive session for Wyoming statute 16-4-405 personnel and legal reasons.
Second it.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, 5-minute recess, we'll hit executive.
Thank you.